All right, everyone. Karine Jean-Pierre is putting herself aside as probably the worst White House press secretary you could ever hope for. And basically, she is a diversity hire when you think about it. Jen Psaki originally had the job. And she would say, well, let's circle back around. And, she basically looked like the real-life incarnation of Peppermint Patty from Peanuts. But at the very least, sometimes she was coherent, able to answer questions. Karine Jean-Pierre went on a local broadcast, actually, in Kentucky, I believe it was. Link in the description, archived, of course. And was asked a question about Joe Biden having dementia. And she decided to just leave completely. She just walked off the set. She didn't want to answer the question. And I'm thinking to myself, give me a couple of hours and I can whip her into shape. Here's what you should do. I'm about to give you a master class in PR, basically. Miss Jean-Pierre. Some of the president's critics have alleged that he has dementia, that he suffers from cognitive decline. What would you like to say about this? Now I'm Karine Jean-Pierre. Well, that is, number one, you can call it a conspiracy theory. Mr. Biden does not suffer from any cognitive decline. He's had medical tests, and yes, sometimes he stammers, or he stutters, or he says the wrong thing, but we all do. Everyone has some verbal proclivities, unless they're books on tape mode, of course. And really, that's what we're dealing with here. He's perfectly aware. Bring yourself into it. I meet with him on a regular basis. I interact with him on a regular basis. He's healthy. He's spry. For a man of his age, he's doing just fine. And so it's regrettable that people are saying that he has dementia, because I can personally vouch for the fact that he doesn't have dementia. Ta-da! Something along those lines. Miss Jean-Pierre. Some critics have assailed the Biden administration's policy on Israel and Gaza. They've said that it's non-committal, that he's straddling the fence. What are your comments? Well, in war and in diplomacy, there's nuance, and Mr. Biden understands this. It's not cut and dry. Yes, the United States will always have the back of Israel. Yes, we are supporting them, and we understand, of course, that Hamas attacked their country. They had to respond. There was a brutal incursion into their country. People were taken captive, people were killed, people were raped, etc., etc., etc. We have their back. At the same time, we're calling for a ceasefire because while we respect the Israeli government, we have a difference of opinion with regards to their policies in Gaza, and we don't feel that it's helpful what's going on currently. We look at the civilian casualties, we look at the destruction there, and we've said we need cooler heads to prevail because we don't want this to pop off into a major regional war. Something like that. But she doesn't have the intelligence to do that. Effectively, she shuts down every time Biden is criticized. She won't even answer the fucking question. She acts like anyone that even asked these questions is a conspiracy theorist or there's something wrong with them, like with Ducey and some of these others. He actually attempts to do his job sometimes. But it just looks bad. It looks a little bit sus when you're asked a question like that and you don't have some pre-scripted response. Yeah, you might be lying. Of course. You're the White House press secretary. Fuck, you think that Trump's White House press secretary didn't have to do the wagon circling thing? How are you circling the wagons? By simply walking off the interview and ending up front page news for having done so. You're not doing your job for the administration. I am, by the way, in no means defending the Biden administration. Its record sucks and it is indefensible. But there are ways to at least smooth things over with voters that tend to support you. But you have to explain yourself. You can't simply clam up and not do your job. You're literally paid to do this sort of thing. You're paid to represent the administration and to talk to journalists, but you never want to talk to them. Jen Psaki did a better job. At least she took the questions. She would deflect. She would lie. She'd say, I'm going to circle back around here and talk about something that's totally unrelated to your question. But she did her job. Because your job as White House press secretary isn't to tell the truth. It's to propagandize on behalf of the administration. It would be such an elementary job. I could do it. I mean, if they paid me enough. I don't think I'd be willing to defend the Biden administration. I would feel like a whore or something like that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it wouldn't be hard to defend your record, at least to partisan voters and to left-leaning independents. But you have to have the actual skills to do so. You have to be a conversationalist. You have to understand, the best thing that you can do, and I keep this in mind when I'm debating and stuff like that, understand that there are certain questions that you're going to be asked. There's going to be hardballing, okay? That's number one. You're going to have some people that are asking you questions that don't like the administration, and they're going to try to wheedle you. Don't take the bait. You can circle back around, you can pivot topics, you can do all sorts of wonderful things to screw with the proceedings there, but Karine Jean-Pierre doesn't have the skills to do it. Honestly, I don't even know why they hired her. Yes, okay, for DEI purposes, it looks good to have a black lesbian as your White House press secretary. But if they can't answer any questions, is the benefit worth the detriment to your administration? If they don't get along with the journalists at all, like, Donald Trump's press secretary got along better with the media, including the liberal media. At least was able to answer a question. There was plenty of deflection there as well. That's your job. You're getting paid the big bucks literally to just wagon circle and ass kiss for Biden. That's your job. Nobody expects anything further from you, but you can't even do that. Again, scripted answers. Just memorize a few witty one-liners, do the Reagan thing if you have to, pivot topics. If there's something that you genuinely can't answer, then you try to answer a different question than the one that was posed. I'm being sleazy right now, by the way, in telling you this. The same would be true for Blinken. I mean, he's somehow worse, and he's the Secretary of State. I'd rather interact with Karine Jean-Pierre. If I were Peter Doocy, I'd say, please bring KJP back, because this Blinken dude, I just can't fucking deal with him. And they're terrible. The messaging of the administration from top to bottom is terrible. Biden's incoherent because of his dementia, which Karine Jean-Pierre won't even answer to. The Secretary of State is so out to lunch he can't answer basic questions about foreign policy. The Vice President is probably the worst of them because she laughs constantly and endlessly when dead children are invoked, so you don't want to ask her a question about Gaza or about the Hamas incursion into Israel. She'll just start giggling and say that you're crazy and gaslight you. And then you've got like Pete Buttigieg. I mean, he's more coherent, but optically speaking, probably the most poor of them. The administration, they beat me. I can't even, I'm confused. I don't even understand what's going on at this point. Don't go on a radio show and then not be able to answer a basic question. You know that you're going to get asked that. So have something scripted as a response. At the very least, it's a frontline defense. But she didn't even have that. She just walked off the show, inexplicably. And the person that's there, asking the questions like, what the fuck just happened? Hilarious. That's about all. Peace out.